All right, we're going to get started in just a minute. We got a couple more, another school coming in, some others, but we start in just a few minutes. We're glad to have everybody here, though. So give us about 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready to go. Between the break, we have some refreshments for all the children and for everybody downstairs, and we'll see how that goes with all this group, but it'll be a great time. But let's do one thing together. I'm Pastor Fred Ayers. I'm the pastor of Walnut Creek Baptist Church. We're glad to have many of our people here, friends and family, and we're excited about today. But we're going to do one thing. Everybody put your hands together like this. Bring them down. And don't move. All right. We'll get started in just a minute. All right, we're going to get started now. We're glad to have all of you here, and we have a couple more groups that may be coming in as time goes on, especially for the second session. And we're glad to have all the teachers and the moms and those are sponsors or whoever's here today. That's wonderful. And we have as our special guest Dr. Tommy Mitchell. He is on staff at Answers in Genesis. He has a bachelor's degree from the University of Tennessee in cellular biology. He has his doctorate from Vanderbilt University, and he practiced medicine for a number of years. His wife is an OBGYN, and they both now are working full-time for Answers in Genesis. We've had him at our church several times, and this is the first time we've invited local groups, especially during the day, for this presentation he'll be giving this morning. And any questions you'll have, of course, you can talk to him afterwards. I'm sure he'll have more to explain. And he's a good friend of ours. We thank the Lord for him coming to our church this week. And right now we'll go ahead and start the session. And the session this morning will be, Were there dinosaurs on Noah's Ark? And we'll talk about that later, and this morning rather. Come on up, Dr. Mitchell, and we'll turn it over to you. Let's give him a round of applause. Can we do that? Good.
Well, good morning. Okay, that was really sad. Okay, I'm 962 years old, and I can do better than that. Let's try one more time. Good morning. Okay, that's better. How many people here like dinosaurs? Lots of hands. Put your hands down. Okay, how many people don't like dinosaurs? Why don't you like dinosaurs? Fess up. Why don't you like dinosaurs? Okay, why don't you like dinosaurs? You like your answer. You like reptiles? Give me a good reason. Yeah, anybody. They have teeth. That means you don't like me. Give me a good reason. Yeah. Okay. Tell me why you don't like dinosaurs. They're creepy. They're big and they're creepy and they eat people, right? Yeah. And see, that's what everybody says. They're big and they're terrible and they eat things. Dinosaurs are amazing creatures. I travel and teach all over the world. When I talk to young people, the main thing I get questions about are dinosaurs. They say, Dr. Mitchell, were there dinosaurs on Noah's Ark? So I'm going to ask you that question. Were there dinosaurs on Noah's Ark? And see, that's what I hear everywhere I go. About half the people say yes, about half the people say no. It's a really interesting question, and we're going to spend a lot of time this morning answering that. But if we're going to deal with the question, were there dinosaurs on Noah's Ark, we really can't start with dinosaurs. You know where we have to start? We have to start with Noah's Ark. Here's your first question. Is that Noah's Ark? Okay. Was Noah's Ark full of holes? Did Noah's Ark have a woodpecker on the front? Did Noah's Ark have a bunch of giraffes sticking out the chimney? Was Noah standing on the deck with a butterfly net trying to catch the woodpecker? No. Okay. So I think we all agree this is kind of a problem if this is Noah's Ark. If this were Noah's Ark, how long would it float? 2-3 minutes tops. Why? Because it's full of holes. Think these things through, folks. Remember your science class. If your boat's full of holes, your boat sinks. Is that Noah's Ark? Did Noah's Ark have a monkey on the porthole? No. Was Noah's Ark an overstuffed houseboat with a bunch of silly animals on it? No. Okay, can you get dinosaurs on board this Noah's Ark? No. Okay, let's keep going. Tell me when you see Noah's Ark. Boy, it's a tough crowd. You don't like any of those? We're 0 for 5. Well, we'll keep looking. I'm a fair-minded fella. You see Noah's Ark yet? Actually, you don't. But I'm going to say this. The one in the middle is one of my all-time favorites. I call it the rub-a-dub-dub 3 animals in the tub Noah's Ark. You know there's something missing from the rub-a-dub-dub Noah's Ark? What's missing? Noah! It's just 3 animals taking a bath. Can you get dinosaurs on board the rub-a-dub-dub Ark? No, of course not. Well, let's keep looking. Do you see Noah's Ark yet? Boy, it's a tough... Did Noah's Ark have a rooster on the roof? No, I don't think so. All right, well, let's keep looking. Can you get dinosaurs on board any of those? No. Okay, well, let's we're looking at it wrong, I think. Was Noah's Ark a little boat or a big boat? There's a big boat. There's a big boat. And that one even says Noah's Ark. Did Noah's Ark look like that? No. Did Noah's Ark have a bunch of windows all up and down the hull that the animals could look out? You know, and I never have figured that out. If you were on board Noah's Ark and you were looking out the window, what would you see? Water. I mean, you see it once, you don't have to look at it. It's just water. But that's a big boat. You know what occurs to me? If you're going to build anything, but particularly if you're going to build a boat, you need to know how to do it. How did Noah know how to build the ark? Where did Noah get his information? God told him, the length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. You know, that sounds pretty impressive, but I'm really not sure I know exactly what that means. Can somebody tell me what a cubit is? What's a cubit? Yeah. Yeah. Just yell your answer out. It's about an average cubit's about 1.5 feet. That's exactly right. The definition of a cubit is the distance between the elbow and the tip of the finger. And the cubit varies depending on the size of the person's arm, actually. All throughout history, there have been a number of different cubits that people have talked about, roughly from about 16 inches to almost 23 inches. But usually when you're just talking about cubits and what it means, the average thing you say is like 18 inches. It's 1.5 feet. It makes the math easy. So 300 cubits would be 450 feet. Now that's a lot. Can anybody tell me how long a football field is? How long is it? 100 yards. How much is that in feet? 300 feet, right? So Noah's Ark was at least a football field and a half long. That's a huge boat. Could Noah's Ark have looked like that? It could have. Matter of fact, we think it could have looked a lot like that because last year we opened in Kentucky a full-size Noah's Ark. Our ark looks very much like that. Now the thing is, do we know it looked like that? No, God's Word doesn't give us enough information to know for sure. What we know for sure was it wasn't a toy boat with a giraffe sticking out the top, right? It was a huge vessel. You see, some people think Noah's Ark looked more like that. Now this is cutaway again, so you can see the inside, but it means it was more squared off on the ends, and it could possibly have looked like that. We don't know. The issue is this: it's a huge vessel. Something like that. Now, you see any giraffe sticking out the top of that boat? No. You see any giraffe sticking out the top of that boat? No. Are there any roosters on the roof? No. Any woodpeckers? No. Is it full of holes? You see, I'm more convinced maybe that this may be what Noah's Ark possibly looked like. But if you prefer the one that's sort of squared off on the end, I don't have a problem. The issue is this: it's not a tiny boat. It's a humongous boat. It's ginormous. It's a football field and a half long. It's twice as long as a 747 jet airplane. It's huge. Lots of room inside that vessel. You know Noah's Ark had 3 decks. It had 3 different levels. Now, if you're Noah and his family, which deck do you want to live on? Everybody says the top, and I don't understand that. And I'm going to tell you why. If you're Noah and his family, you're living on the top deck, you're going to be running up and down the steps all the time taking care of those animals, right? You get your cardio every day. I guess that's good for your heart, but you'll be running up and down the steps. Would anybody here like to live underneath the elephants and hippopotamuses? No? Why would you not want to live underneath the elephants and hippopotamuses? There's another reason. It would stink. Yes. It would not be pleasant to live under the elephants and hippopotamuses because they, let's just say, make a mess. Because there's lots of things that happen when you have lots of animals and you have to get certain materials off the boat. It would not be a pleasant thing to live under the elephants and hippopotamuses. So I guess I can understand why you want to live on the top deck. Noah's Ark actually had rooms in it. God's Word's clear. There were rooms in Noah's Ark. And if you think about that, that really makes sense, right? I mean, if you go to farms or stables or places where they take care of animals, they very often have rooms or stalls or cribs or pens or cages to take care of the animals. And it really makes a lot of sense to me. Now, obviously the rooms were there because God's Word tells us, but does it make sense to you that there would be rooms in Noah's Ark? It does to me. Now, why would you need rooms in Noah's Ark? And before you answer, I'm going to tell you this. Somebody's going to give me the wrong answer. And guess what, folks? That's okay, because I'm going to tell you why. Why would you need rooms in Noah's Ark? Just shout your answer. Just anybody. Yeah. Sometimes they want to sleep. That's one of the reasons I would give. Why? So the thing is, they could still be in a room above them, though, couldn't they? Why would you need rooms on Noah's Ark? Yeah. Well, why would you want to sort the animals? I mean, they're all on board. I mean, why would you need to sort them? So you can tell which one's which. I think I know the difference between an elephant and a cat. Now, some of the others I may not know so much, so you might be right. I'm not a veterinarian, but I'm pretty good at knowing. Okay, elephant. Okay, I think that's a good. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Yeah. Why would? Yeah. Anybody else your answer?
So that like the lions aren't eating the elephants.
Thank you. I was getting worried. I'm sorry, the wrong answer. But that's what everybody says. What everybody tells me, you need rooms on Noah's Ark to keep the animals from eating each other. And that's what everybody thinks. And I think that's a problem. Were the animals on Noah's Ark eating each other? No, of course not. If the animals on Noah's Ark were eating each other, some of the animals that got on board wouldn't be available to do what? To get back off and reproduce. They're supposed to make animals after the flood. And if the animals on Noah's Ark were eating each other, how many animals would get off Noah's Ark? One. And it would be really fat, right? Because it would have eaten everything else. You see, that's a problem. In the beginning, when God looked at His creation and said it was very good, what did man and the animals have to eat? Plants. In the beginning, God gave man and the animals plants to eat. So in the beginning, man was vegetarian, animals were vegetarian. Now, because the effects of the curse and the fall, animals became carnivorous over time. But what I'm going to suggest to you is that the animals that were on the ark were still just eating plants. I mean, they weren't dangerous to Noah and his family. They weren't a danger to each other. And they could store lots of plant materials and things like that on board the ark to have to feed themselves and feed the animals during that long voyage. So if you don't really need rooms to separate the animals to keep them from eating each other, why would you need rooms? Well, we've already heard one answer, because some of these creatures may have been sleeping. They may have been hibernating during part of the voyage. Another thing is you have different types of animals that will require different types of food. So if you're sort of figuring out how you're going to making your schedule about how you're going to feed and take care of these animals every day, you're going to keep animals close to each other that may require the same types of food. Plus, just building the rooms, just all the beams and structures, would make the ark more stable. This is a photograph from one of the models we've had at our Creation Museum for a number of years. Because we worked with scientists for a lot of years trying to figure out how you can build wooden structures, particularly, boats and things that are very strong and stable, that are made of wood. Because the world says you can't build a 500-foot long boat made out of wood. Sure you can. You just got to know how to do it. And remember, the ark's very important. Because if the ark sinks, we all have a problem, right? What would have happened if the ark sank during the flood? None of us would be here, right? That would have been the end of people and the rest of the animals. But remember, the ark is not a toy boat with a giraffe sticking out the top. The ark is a floating warehouse. Let me ask you again, can you get dinosaurs on board that boat? What about that? Now, the other thing you got to think about is if you're on one of those toy boats with the giraffe sticking out the top, what's going to happen when the first big wave hits it during that big storm? It's going to do this, right? Can giraffes breathe underwater? No. Those giraffes are about to have a big problem. Okay. Now that we've explored, we've discussed, we thought about Noah's Ark. It's not a toy boat with a giraffe sticking out the top. It's a huge vessel. Here's your question. Were there dinosaurs on Noah's Ark? And see, that's what I find everywhere I go. Some people say yes, some people say no. Now, was anybody here in this room watching all the animals go on board Noah's Ark? Was anybody there to see it? No. So, nobody in this room was there to see it. Is there any way we can answer this question? Is there any way we can be sure about the answer to this question? Yes, we can. Where do we turn for that answer? God's Word's clear. Were the land animals made on day 6? On the 6th day of creation week, is that the day the land animals were made? Yes. What else was made on day 6? People. So did dinosaurs and man walk the earth together? Absolutely. God's Word's clear. So yes, the land animals are made on day 6. Are dinosaurs land animals? Okay. Now, I've heard 2 answers, and I'm going to say they're both correct. The correct answer is yes, because dinosaurs are technically land animals. I did hear a few people say some dinosaurs were land animals, and I'm going to accept that. Because when I was your age, a lot of years ago, when we talked about dinosaurs, or we used the word dinosaurs, we included the flying reptiles and the seagoing reptiles. We just said dinosaur, and we meant all those creatures. And scientifically, that's not correct. Because the flying creatures like the Rhamphorhynchus and the pterodactyl, the flying reptiles are distinctly different types of creatures than land animals, and those are distinctly different from, say, the plesiosaurs that were in the ocean. But when I was young, we used the word dinosaur. We just used the word dinosaur to mean all those creatures. So if you say some, I'm going to understand why you say that, so you're correct. But dinosaurs are technically land animals. But you also got to understand this. When I was your age, Pluto was still a planet. How many people here think Pluto should still be a planet? You see, I do too. I mean, Pluto was a planet for lots and lots of years. Then a bunch of scientists got together and said, Pluto, you can't be a planet anymore. And I think that's tacky. My daughter actually bought me a T-shirt that says, make Pluto a planet again. She won't let me bring it to the conferences and things. But our astronomer at our ministry, every time he goes to his meetings every year, I say, tell everybody there to vote Pluto. How many people think Pluto should still be a planet? See, everybody thinks Pluto should be a planet. See, things have changed too much since my day. But anyway, get back to our dinosaurs are technically land animals. Did Noah take 2 of every kind of land animal, 7 of some on board the ark? Yes. Were there dinosaurs on the ark? Dinosaurs are air-breathing land animals. Certainly there were dinosaurs on board Noah's ark. But having said that, now you got a whole different set of problems, right? How did he get them through the door? Some dinosaurs were 135 feet long. How do you get a 135-foot long dinosaur through a door? I mean, do they butter their head and push? Do you take a running start and stuff them through? And then once you push them through the door, you got to get them back off, right? You see, I agree there were dinosaurs on Noah's Ark, but then you got some other questions to answer. Now, do we have a way to answer this? Actually, we do. Here's your next question. How did dinosaurs have babies? Yes. So I said it. They laid eggs. How do you know, since you've never seen a dinosaur lay an egg? How do you know dinosaurs laid eggs? I agree with that, but that's not proof. How do we know? So just yell out your answer. Yep. Somebody yell out an answer. Little kid shows. That's the worst answer you could give. And the second worst answer would be adult shows, right? What do you find inside those eggs? Fossilized baby dinosaurs. We've got fossilized dinosaur eggs of a variety of different types of dinosaurs. And this is really fascinating. Here's your next question. How big is a T-Rex egg? A T-Rex egg is about the size of a football. A couple of years ago, a young man told me it was the size of a Volkswagen. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd pay $0.25 to see a creature lay an egg the size of a Volkswagen. That'd be a pretty impressive egg. But what you have to do is you have to think this through. The point is, before you have a big stegosaurus, you've got a what? A little stegosaurus. Okay. Time out. We're going to put the talk on hold for a minute here. I heard something that really disturbs me. How many people here think that's cute? Wow. Put your hands down. Okay. How many people here have an IQ above garden vegetable and know that's not cute? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Again, how many people think that's cute? Put your hands up. Wow. I'm glad you're here this morning. You need help. Okay. For those of you who don't think that's cute, y'all can just kind of chill for a second. Okay. Let's do this. How many people would pet that thing? This is worse than I thought. Okay, hands down. This is what we're going to do. Again, how many people would pet that? Hands up. Okay, hands down. Okay, how many people would pet that? Put your hands up. Hands down. Okay. How many people would pet that? Put both hands up. Okay, hands down. You feel silly yet? Well, you will when I'm done. Okay, anyway, how many people would pet that? Put your hands up. Hands back down. Okay, How many people would pet that? Put your hands up, put your hands in front of you. Like that, put your hands down. This is so much fun. I could do this for fun. How many people think that cute? Put your hands up, put your hands down in front of you. Put your hands like this. Put your hands down. I'm having so much fun. Okay, if you think that's cute, just put one arm up. You cat folks will do anything, won't you? Okay, hands down. Okay, if you think that's cute, put your arms up. Put your arms out. Put your hands like that. Spread your fingers. Put your hands down. This is great. You people will do anything, won't you? Okay, put your arms up. Put your hands out. Hands in front of you. Put your hands like that. This is so funny. I'm just making this up as I go along. This is the coolest group I've had in a long time. You people will do anything. Okay, hands down. All right, let's get serious. Okay, think it's cute, put your hands up. Put your hands out. Spread your fingers. Look at your hands. Put your hands down. Okay, if you think it's cute, put your hands out back like that. Count your fingers. When you get to 10, when you get to 10, stop. Anybody here got more than 10 fingers? Put your hands up. Okay, hands down. Okay, how many fingers do you have? 10. Here's your question. Think this through. How many fingers are you going to have after you pet that thing? The answer, 7. I know that. I'm a doctor. 7. So if you play the piano now, you're not going to play. That is not cute. That's a disgusting little lizard, okay? You do not need to be petting that thing. But my point is this. Before you have a big dinosaur, you've got a what? A little dinosaur. So when a T-Rex is born, it comes out of an egg this big, so it's like that. So let's think about this. Are there going to be fully grown dinosaurs on Noah's Ark? I would say no, because these dinosaurs are supposed to lay eggs and reproduce after the flood's over. So I'm going to suggest to you that God, when He led these animals to Noah, led the young adults that were just getting ready to enter the age where they could start laying eggs. So the T-Rex on the ark wouldn't have been, fully grown. The stegosaur kind on the ark wouldn't necessarily have been fully grown. These animals were on board Noah's Ark, 2 of each kind of dinosaur, but I would say they were the young adults. And people tell me all the time, well, you try to give biblical answers about dinosaurs, and folks, we should have biblical answers about everything. But how can you have biblical answers about dinosaurs? You don't even find the word dinosaur in the Bible. You don't know how many times I've read through the Word of God. I have yet to find the word dinosaur in the biblical text. Now, should that really surprise us? Actually, it's not surprising at all. The word dinosaur is a new word. It didn't exist until the year 1841. It was coined or invented, if you will, by British scientist Sir Richard Owen. He was one of the most famous and prominent scientists of his day. He's the person that actually invented the word dinosaur. It means terrible lizard. So if you look in the 1828 dictionary, you find the words computer, locomotive, and rocket. You do not find the word dinosaur in the 1828 dictionary. Now, why is that? Huh? Right, because 1841 hadn't happened yet, right? The most commonly used English translation of the Bible is called the King James. It was completed in the year 1611. That's 230 years before the word dinosaur even existed. But what about the so-called modern English translations? You read through those texts, you don't find the word dinosaur there either. The question is, are there dinosaurs in the Bible? Job 40:15, behold now behemoth which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Lo now his strength is in his loins, his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass, his bones are like bars of iron. He is chief of the ways of God. Now that's obviously a guinea pig, right? No? Is that a little puppy dog? Is that a big creature or a little creature? That's a big creature. I mean, if you've got a tail like a cedar, if you're chief of the ways of God, you got to be some impressive creature, right? You got to be the man. You got to have it going on. But, I really wonder sometimes when people read through God's Word if they actually pay attention. Because the people that wrote the study notes for the NIV Study Bible said the creature we just read about was possibly the hippopotamus or the elephant. Has anybody in this room ever been to a zoo? Have you ever seen the backside of an elephant? Does that look like a cedar to you? I mean, that's a right sorry cedar, don't you think? And like we say back home, that ain't no cedar neither. Now, does a hippopotamus have a tail like a cedar? Folks, that ain't no cedar, no way, no how. I mean, and folks, I spend a lot of time thinking about this because I speak and teach on this topic a lot. And whatever I teach on, I want to be as accurate as possible and really understand the topic. But help me out here. Does that work for you? Yeah, see, I've struggled with that for a long time. I just can't make that work. Now, what about an elephant? Yeah, see, that was sort of my reaction to it. I'm struggling with this. What about something like that? See, that makes the most sense to me. But the issue to me really is I just can't make that work. I can't. I'm trying not to be too harsh and overthink this, but I just don't think that works. I just don't. Or maybe that's got their ends mixed up. I don't know. That front-back thing. Maybe that's got totally confused and maybe his nose was like a cedar or something, Maybe there's a problem. And that doesn't work for me either. I'm trying to make this fit. What about something like that? Or maybe something like that. Now, having presented all that, can I make the following statement? Behemoth was a dinosaur. Can I say that directly? Behemoth was a dinosaur.
Yes.
No, I can't. What I can say is this. There is no creature in our present understanding that fits that description better than a sauropod dinosaur. What I will say is that just doesn't work for me. On the first day of creation week, God created earth, space, time, and light. On the second day, the atmosphere, the firmament, the expanse. On the third day, the dry land and plants. On the fourth day, sun, moon, and stars. On the fifth day, the flying and sea creatures. On the sixth day, land, animals, and man. 6 ordinary 24-hour days. And on that basis, we have sound, biblical, scientific answers about these incredible creatures we call dinosaurs. If you ever get a chance to come to our Creation Museum, what you'll find is an entire 2-story exhibit just talking about dinosaurs because we want to answer people's questions. You can hardly walk down a hallway at our museum without seeing at least one dinosaur. They're incredible. They're amazing creatures. But you know what I found as I've traveled all over the world and talked to so many people over the years? You know what I found? I've had so many people tell me that they don't even believe in dinosaurs. I've had people tell me that their parents have taught them dinosaurs never existed, that they were just made up, that they weren't real. And that really is kind of baffling to me because we got lots of evidence that dinosaurs are real. What does that look like? That looks like a dinosaur to me. I can think of one creature alive today that sort of kind of looks like that. Anybody? Kangaroo, yeah, kangaroo. But be honest, when you see that, first thing that comes in your mind isn't kangaroo, is it? It's what? Dinosaur. Maybe something like that. Anybody know what that is? That's called a pictograph. There are places around the world you find these drawings or carvings. You find them in caves. You find them on cliff walls. And there are actually a number of websites. You can go to the internet and go to these websites, and they've got images of these things from all over the world. It's really fascinating. But you go to these areas and you see these drawings or carvings, and they're called pictographs or petroglyphs. depending on whether they're drawn or painted or actually carved into the rock, into the cliff or into the cave. And if you look at enough of these things, you see some really interesting stuff. And I know that's kind of hard to see. I wanted to show you the actual photograph. Now, we photoshopped it for you so you could see it. That's a water buffalo, right? No. That's a aardvark. What does that look like? It looks like a dinosaur to me. What does that look like? It's like a dinosaur to me. What does that look like? That sure looks like a dinosaur. And you know what most scientists will tell you, most secular scientists will tell you? Those things that look like dinosaurs, they can't be dinosaurs. You know why? Because they just know dinosaurs died out millions of years ago. Which I find to be really puzzling because these drawings are carvings. I just showed you a few. I could show you lots of different images from places all around the world. These drawings are carvings. How did they get where they are? How did they get into these caves and on these cliff walls? People put them there, right? Either people drew or carved these things, or they're the most amazing example of erosion you'll ever find. Either they're totally an accident or people deliberately put those images where they are. What I'm going to suggest to you is people were drawing or carving images of things they actually saw, things that were actually in their experience. To me, the pictographs and petroglyphs are but one of a number of evidences we have that people and dinosaurs have walked the earth today. And beyond the pictographs and petroglyphs, there are carvings and inscriptions on lots of different monuments and different places around the world. Here's an example. This is the tomb of Bishop Bell, a place called Carlisle Cathedral. And you've got this big sort of plate in the floor, and you've got this. You see those little stripes, and you've got this inlay around the tomb. What does that look like? What does that look like? To me, that's just one. Look, these things sure look like dinosaurs. But before the year 1841, if somebody was going to describe one of these creatures, they couldn't use the word dinosaur, right? Because the word dinosaur hadn't been invented yet. So what word might they have used before the year 1841? Very often they used the word dragon. Now, if you look back through historical writings over the last couple of thousand years, very frequently travelers and merchants and adventurers and historians will write descriptions of their travels or write descriptions or histories of their community or their region, and they'll describe these animals in great detail, and not infrequently they'll say, this particular dragon. Sometimes they'll use the phrase great beast or fearsome beast. And again, not every description of a dragon in history is real. There's fantasy writing and poetic writing in the past like there is today. But very frequently, these creatures would be described in great detail. This is a creature we encountered on our travels, and not infrequently they'd be referred to as dragons. To me, we've got abundant evidence that people and dinosaurs have walked the earth together. But the secular scientists say, no, we know dinosaurs died out millions of years ago. So here's your next question. What is a dinosaur? We've said the flying creatures are no longer considered to be dinosaurs. The sea creatures are not dinosaurs. They have different body configurations. Like, how do we know the difference between a dog and a cat, right? I mean, they have different structures. Well, scientists today are still debating in a lot of circles about exactly what the definition of a dinosaur is. But the things that at least are semi-agreed on at this point is they're land reptiles. The key thing is this. They have their legs under their body. They're not belly draggers like a lot of reptiles have, like alligators and crocodiles have their legs out like this. Their legs are under their body. It's a very key distinction. Because a lot of people have told me over the years, well, I think alligators and crocodiles are dinosaurs. Well, they're not, because they have a different, shoulder girdle and pelvic girdle structure. They have some similarities, but they're different enough they're not the same. Now, let me ask you a question. How do we know dinosaurs existed? Now, you can look at the pictographs and petroglyphs. That's really kind of cool. But how do we know dinosaurs are real? How? We got fossils. We got fossils of lots of varieties of dinosaurs. And I hope we find lots more. Matter of fact, about a month ago, I think it was in Spain, they found fossils of a previously undiscovered type of dinosaur. They were doing some digging or something, and they came across this fossil, and it was a type of dinosaur nobody ever uncovered before. I think this is all fascinating. But at the same time, when we've got these fossils, you can see them in books, you can go to museums, you can see them on television, you can go to the internet and look these things up, and it's all fascinating. But we need to step back and see what we can really learn and understand from fossils. For example, do we know the creature that we call Stegosaurus actually existed? Of course. How do we know that? We got the fossils. For the next 5 or 10 minutes, if I ask a question, if you say fossils, you got the right answer pretty much. But the thing is, we've got a number of specimens of fossils of a creature we call Stegosaurus. Now, that's a pretty interesting creature, right? I mean, how would you like to find one of those in your backyard today? Now, I tell you what, if I found one of those in my backyard when I got home tomorrow, you know where I'm going? Out the front door. I mean, I don't be messed. Look at the spikes on that creature's tail. What were those spikes for? Defense. Works on me. All I got to do is look at it. I'm not going anywhere near it. It could be for defense. It could be for attack. I mean, that's pretty fearsome. What about the big plates on its back? What are those plates for? Just anybody. Protect. Yep. I'm not jumping on its back. There are some scientists that think those plates were there to help regulate the creature's body temperature. They could move the plates to get more sun or less, and that's pretty interesting. Is there any way we can prove any of that? How come? They're dead. All we got are the bones. That's right. There's only a certain amount of information you can get looking at fossils. Do we know the Stegosaurus looked exactly like that? No, but I think it's reasonable. We could get pretty close to that. But the thing is, over the years, there have been a lot of estimates of, say, how much dinosaurs have weighed. And more recently, we've been able to computer model some of these things. What they found out is some of those estimates, this dinosaur weighed so many tons years ago, they've been off by as much as a factor of like 100%. It's amazing. So we're still sort of refining our way to understand this because you're trying to figure out how a creature looked or existed, and all you got are the bones. These are the sauropods. Some of these were 130 to 135 feet long. Again, how do we know sauropods are real? We got the fossils. We got fossils of lots of different sauropods. And this is really fascinating. These creatures were massive. A few years ago, I had the privilege of speaking at some churches in England. And while I was in London, I went to the Natural History Museum. And at that time, in the center of the Natural History Museum, they had the skeleton of a creature that's called a Diplodocus. And that thing... You walk, because they get this huge entrance, this huge atrium, this huge open area, and you walk out into it and you see this massive dinosaur skull, and you just kind of go, whoa, it kind of takes your breath away. And it was really interesting because it's a Diplodocus, and they nicknamed it Dippy, which is like the coolest name ever. And I'm sorry to say, Dippy is no longer there. They've taken Dippy out of the Natural History Museum and put like the skeleton of like a blue whale or something in there now, which is not nearly as cool. But nonetheless, you know how the British are. But anyway... That's a different lecture. But nonetheless, you're standing there in front of this Diplodocus and you're trying to wrap your mind around this. It is huge. I mean, you look at one of the legs, of course, you couldn't touch it, but I'm trying to go, could I get my arms around that? And I was talking to one of the staff members at the museum. I said, how did you get this thing in there? And they said, well, it's like building a building. It's like we put up this scaffolding and we brought these bones in on these carts and we set them down and we sort of positioned them and we just sort of built it like you build an erector set. That thing is huge. I mean, you see that little line up there? That's about, a little less than, that's how big. How many people would like to have a pet Diplodocus? Now, that would be interesting, for show and tell or something. Somebody else brings their frog, you bring your Diplodocus. Now, I would suggest to you that having a Diplodocus is not the most practical pet in the world. Okay, and there are a couple, it would be neat, but there are a couple of problems with having a Diplodocus. Let me explain this to you. What do you have to do with your pet? You have to feed it. How long does it take to feed your goldfish? Tap, tap, you're done, right? Doesn't work that way with a Diplodocus. How much is a Diplodocus going to eat? A lot. How much time during your day are you going to have to spend feeding your Diplodocus? A lot. Okay, that's step one. We all know what step two is. Okay, step one, feed your pet. Wait an hour. Step two, guess what? Clean up after your pet. If you have a pet Diplodocus, first thing you need to do is go down to Ace Hardware, get a snow shovel. You're going to need it. Okay. You spend a couple hours feeding your pet, then you got to clean up after your pet. Then, once a week, maybe once a month, you have to wash your Diplodocus. How do you wash a Diplodocus? How do you give a Diplodocus a bath? No, I know the answer. Car wash. You put the harness on him, you walk your Diplodocus through the car wash. Now, when you take your Diplodocus to the car wash, do not get the hot wax. Nothing upsets a Diplodocus more than having hot wax spray. So hit the button, no hot wax on your Diplodocus. So you fed your Diplodocus, you've cleaned up after your Diplodocus, now you've given your Diplodocus a bath. Now once a year you have to take your Diplodocus to the vet for its heartworm shot. Now, when you take your Diplodocus to the vet, please call me and let me go with you, because I'm good at taking care of people who have heart attacks. Okay? And when your vet comes out to give your pet frog its heartworm shot and sees your Diplodocus, your vet is probably going to have a coronary. So let's suggest that perhaps a frog would be a better pet than a Diplodocus. Or maybe you could have a Pachycephalosaurus. What's the Pachycephalosaurus doing? Has anybody ever seen a live Pachycephalosaurus? No. How do we know the Pachycephalosaurus is real? Fossils. So, why did they illustrate the Pachycephalosaurus behaving this way? Yeah. That's really close. It's because the body configuration. Because a lot of times you can find dinosaur fossils, when you find dinosaur fossils, you got one sort of laying across the other, or sometimes a fossil can be dismembered just because of the sediment that's poured on it. But you're right, because it's the way the body is configured. The skull cap of the Pachycephalosaurus is thicker than the skull cap of other dinosaurs. So some scientists have concluded maybe it was designed that way or built that so it could butt heads. Now, do we have creatures in our world today that behave that way? Sure. Now, why do creatures butt heads? Well, to protect its mate, to protect the offspring, to protect its territory, to compete for food. There are lots of reasons. But anyway, I think that's kind of cool. I mean, you can have a duck-billed dino, a hadrosaur. Now, you see the little girl on the bicycle? That's how big some of these dinosaurs were. They're massive. Now, what I want you to do is think about which dinosaur is your favorite. Do not yell it out. Do not speak it. Do not tell your friends. Because in a minute, we're going to have a dinosaur vote. I'm going to let you vote on which dinosaur is your favorite. I have a very strong suspicion I already know who's going to win. But let me tell you, I'm going to go ahead and disappoint you. Your favorite dinosaur is not the best dinosaur. It's just not. Your favorite dinosaur is not the best dinosaur. My favorite dinosaur is the best dinosaur. And I'm going to tell you that now, and I'm going to give you a moment to repent when we're done. Now, your favorite dinosaur is pretty cool, but your favorite dinosaur is not as cool as my favorite dinosaur. My favorite dinosaur is so cool, it's the Frank Sinatra of dinosaurs. It's by far the best dinosaur, and you will certainly agree once I give you the answer. So in a minute, we're going to let you vote. But just to show you how fair I am, I'm going to tell you ahead of time which one's the best dinosaur. The coolest dinosaur of all dinosaurs, the Joe Cool of all dinosaurs, is the Parasaurolophus. Folks, there is no dinosaur cooler than the Parasaurolophus. Now, the reason for that is the Parasaurolophus has the coolest nose of any dinosaur ever. It's probably got the coolest nose in the history of noses. Now, how does a Parasaurolophus breathe? Do not overthink this. Answer, through its nose, right? Now, here's your question. Where's its nose? Guess what? I've heard about 3 different answers, and you're all correct. Where's its nose? Everywhere. There it goes in, there it comes down. Folks, I don't care which dinosaur you like, it doesn't have a nose as cool as that. That's the coolest nose in the history of noses. Now, why does the Parasaurolophus breathe like that? Anybody? What? Because it can't. Well, actually, that's right. Because it was made that way. That's the way God made it. I had somebody tell me a couple of years ago the Parasaurolophus breathes that way so it can breathe underwater. Can the Parasaurolophus drown? Sure, it just takes 5 seconds longer than any other dinosaur because its nose is so long, right? Folks, there is no dinosaur with a cooler nose than the Parasaurolophus. I've got a friend that works with me at the ministry. His name is Buddy Davis, and he's our musician and writes, and he's a taxidermist. He's a wonderful, talented guy. He's one of our primary dinosaur sculptors. And a couple of years ago, he was actually doing some measurements on the skull of a Parasaurolophus, and he got to thinking about it, and he said, well, you know, that's pretty amazing. I wonder what this thing sounded like. So what he did, he took all these measurements and went down to Home Depot, and he got some PVC pipe and stuff, and he kind of built a model of the nasal passages and stuff, and he put a mouthpiece on one end and a horn on the other, and during his concerts, he'll actually play it for people. And he'll be playing his guitar and his banjo, and he's singing, and he goes, anybody want to hear what the Parasaurolophus sound like? I go, yeah, tell us, buddy, tell us. He'll play another song or whatever, and say, anybody want to hear what the Parasaurolophus sounds like? Yeah, tell us, buddy, tell us. And he'll play the mandolin, and you want to hear what the Parasaurolophus sounds like? Yeah, tell us, buddy. So finally he goes over to his guitar case, he opens this thing, and he pulls his contraption out. And it looks like half a trombone. It's the wackiest thing you've ever seen in your life. And he goes up to the microphone, he takes a big breath, and he blows into the mouthpiece. You know what this thing sounds like? It sounds like a duck with laryngitis. It's the most horrible, hideous, awful sound you ever heard in your life. Personally, I think God designed it that way so no other creature even want to come around it. Now, I'm not going to do anything that sounds that horrible. If you go to the Natural History Museum in London, they have a display about the Parasaurolophus. You know what they said about it? It honks. Their conclusion is it sounds like a goose. To me, it sounds like a goose with a throat condition. But nonetheless, okay, this is your chance. Now that I've told you which is the best dinosaur, I'm going to give you a chance to vote on your favorite dinosaur. Well, we're going to count to 3. Do not yell out your answer before we get to 3. We don't have time to have everybody vote, so we're going to vote as a group. When I get to 3, yell out the name of your favorite dinosaur. Are you ready? Are you there? Some of you are moving, but you got mute all of a sudden. So you sure you're ready? Okay. Now, when I get to 3, yell out the name of your favorite dinosaur. Do not yell it out before I get to 3. You know the rules? If you yell out the name of your dinosaur before I get to 3, your vote doesn't count. That's the rule. You sure you know? You ready? I can see how excited you are. Okay. When I get to 3, yell out the name of your favorite dinosaur. 1, 2, 2.5. Always one. Okay, there's always one, but let me let you in on this. Usually the person I catch is an adult. So, okay, I'm benevolent. I'm going to grant amnesty. Your vote still counts. Okay, when I get to 3, yell out the name of your favorite dinosaur. 3. Yeah. It's not as cool as the Parasaurolophus, but T-Rex always wins.
The towering Brachiosaur, the horned Triceratops, the ferocious Tyrannosaurus Rex. Everyone seems to be fascinated with dinosaurs. Some were big, many were scary, and all are gone. Since we haven't found any dinosaurs alive today, almost everything we know about them comes from the fossil record. The remains show that these amazing creatures were well designed and complex. They came in many forms: plant eaters and meat eaters, small and large, slow and fast. Similar types of animals inhabited the air, the land, and the sea, although only land animals are called dinosaurs. We know they were not just overgrown reptiles. Dinosaurs had unique body designs that set them apart from other animals, including their hips, lungs, and methods for controlling body heat. No known process of change could derive them from any other known organism, and no evidence of such a change is found in the fossil record. Dinosaurs just appear in the fossil record without connection and without explanation. Where did they come from? The Bible says God created every kind of land animal on day 6 of creation week. From the fossil record, it appears that dinosaurs were part of an intricate community of plants and animals unlike anything known in the present. The worldwide distribution of dinosaur bones indicates that the dinosaur ecosystem, and in fact the entire world, was destroyed. Billions of fossils, including all the dinosaur fossils, were formed in the process. This devastation fits the biblical description of a worldwide flood. Since their fossils indicate that dinosaurs were alive just before the flood, God's command to preserve animal life through the flood would have applied to dinosaurs as well. So dinosaurs must have died around the ark. Young representatives of each dinosaur kind would be best designed to repopulate the earth after the flood. But their days were numbered. No one knows for sure what caused their extinction, but there are a number of possibilities. Perhaps it was the radical change in climate, the destruction of their old ecosystem, the change in food sources, or even human hunters. Though some answers may always elude us, the biblical account of creation and the flood provides the best explanation of dinosaurs and their fossils.
Back on here. T-Rex. Look at those teeth. What does T-Rex eat? You know what the right answer to that question is? What does T-Rex eat? Anything it wants, right? And see, that's the way we tend to think about dinosaurs. When you hear the word dinosaur, you immediately think of these fearsome creatures that ate Tokyo, right? Here's a dinosaur calendar. Kill something and eat it, kill something and eat it, kill something and eat it. See, that's what we think when we hear the word dinosaur. But in the beginning, when God looked at His creation and said it was very good, what did T-Rex eat then? Plants. Genesis 1:30. And every beast of the earth, and every fowl of the air, and everything that creepeth upon the earth wherein there is life, I've given every green herb for meat. And it was so. So in the beginning, T-Rex, this most famous, most vicious of all dinosaurs, was a vicious vegetarian. Now, folks, I don't care who you are. That takes the steam right out of T-Rex. I mean, how dull is that? It was a vicious plant eater. Well, Tommy, that makes no sense. Look at those teeth. That's obviously a vicious killer, right? That's not a plant eater. I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from on that. Look at this vicious killer. Look at the teeth on that thing. That thing would rip your leg completely off, right? Anybody know what that is? It's a panda. Pandas attack and kill what? Bamboo. It's a vicious bamboo killer. With these long, it gets up in the morning with these long teeth, with malice and forethought, goes out and just kills a bunch of bamboo. I mean, how deadly is that? What's this? My slides are labeled, folks. Work with me here. Look at the teeth on that thing. What does it eat? Fruit. It's a vicious fruit killer. Look at this thing. What does it eat? Mostly nuts, fruit, and vegetation. There are lions and tigers in our world today that are vegetarian. In one of my other presentations, I have a video of an alligator eating kumquats. Bears, when they come out of hibernation, long teeth and claws, will do very nicely eating plants. If you disturb them, they'll be more than happy to eat you too. But that's not the best example. The best example is the great white shark. The great white shark has been called nature's perfect predator. The great white shark has been called nature's perfect killing machine. I'm going to show you a video about nature's perfect killing machine.
My crew throws in the bait to begin the test. First, squid and kelp.
Okay, the 3 baits are in. We've already seen how hard they hit the tuna in Australia. And if scent is a factor at all, the tuna or squid should go first. Whoa! She just took a small bite out of the kelp. Incredible. She's coming back around for a second pass. Wow, it went for the kelp again. The shark ignored the tuna and the squid and took the kelp.
Because what they're doing is they're testing baits for the great white shark. So the first thing they do is they take some tuna and they throw that out in the water. Then they take some squid and they throw that out in the water. Then they take some seaweed, just a big ball of kelp, and they throw that out in the water. And then they put that super genius with that video camera in that little bitty cage to film all this, which, by the way, is a job I'm never going to apply for. You know, wanted idiot with video camera to film great white. I'll pass on that job. But anyway, he's filming it, and what does he see? On multiple passes, the great white shark does what? Ate the plants first. On multiple passes, nature's perfect killing machine ate the plants first. Point is this. If you're at a museum and you see fossils of a creature that's got long teeth, or you're reading in a book or on the internet, or you're watching a show and a creature has long teeth, what do you know about that creature? No, all you know is that it has long teeth. And with that, we're right at 10:30. We'll conclude. Last thing is this. Before you leave, everybody here can have one of these. This is a Parasaurolophus card. You need to take this home, put it on your bulletin board, tape it to your door, put it by your desk where you study, and I want you to look at this every single day till you repent and agree with me that this is the best dinosaur. So I've got enough of these for everybody. Teachers, if you've got a group, if you just want a teacher wants to come out, I'll give you a handful of them. I'll be around up front. Please feel free. Don't leave until you get one of these, and here's an adult to take over.
All right, let's give him a round of applause. Can we do that? How many of you learned something today? Raise your hand. All right, take it back and teach somebody else. A couple things we're going to do. We have some refreshments for all the children.